Checking the final 5 stories we're keeping an eye on today. At the age of 108, a Wellington County woman is finally receiving a medal for her service in the Second World War. Joan Fuller is a resident of Wellington Terrace Long-Term Care, where today a gathering was held to celebrate the medal finally being in her hands. Mrs. Fuller was born in England in 1918, and then during the Second World War, she was a British radar operator detecting and plotting aircraft movement. But it turns out she left for Canada in 1947 to be with her future husband before ever getting her medal, something that was discovered recently by Canadian historian Bo Harper, the founder of the Soldier Search Project. CTV's Colton Weens met Mrs. Fuller today and will bring us the full story coming up on CTV News at 6. You don't want to miss that one. Canadian medical schools have cut back on basic anatomy training for reasons like the high cost of human donors. Some programs have removed in-lab dissections entirely, and experts worry it could have a serious effect across the medical field. But a new master's program at the University of Guelph is going in the opposite direction by putting an emphasis on hands-on in-lab training, where students explore various topics in disease treatment that aren't possible through 3D textbook models of the human body. They'll have access to human anatomy laboratories, which offer clinical experience at a time when experts say there's a significant knowledge gap in this area.
We're noticing that the students who don't have really strong foundational knowledge are entering into their healthcare training programs, not being able to translate any kind of foundational content and apply it in a clinical scenario.
Coming up at 6, Spencer Turcott takes a closer look at the medical sector's concerns over healthcare training programs continuing to be removed. It's been nearly a year since a Delta Airlines plane crashed at Pearson Airport. The Transportation Safety Board is now out with an update on its investigation. The jet was arriving from Minnesota when it slid across the tarmac and flipped upside down. 21 passengers were taken to the hospital. The TSB says so far they've completed an examination of the aircraft wreckage and a detailed analysis is underway. They're also analyzing audio from the cockpit and flight tracking data from onboard recorders. The agency says, though, it's still too early to draw conclusions about the cause of the crash. Well, the federal government says it needs to collect more data for its probe into allegations of unpaid work in the airline industry. The investigation was launched following last year's strike by more than 10,000 Air Canada flight attendants. The union claimed flight attendants were not being paid for some work, including ground duties. Ottawa says it didn't find evidence that airline sector compensation practices fell short of regulated standards during the first phase of its review, but they did say the issue of compensation for part-time and entry-level flight attendants needed closer examination. And the future of cars on display for another year. The Auto Show making its annual Toronto pit stop at the Metro Toronto Convention Centre beginning this weekend. Car enthusiasts can check out the best that 40 different automakers have to offer, including the latest with EV technology. From those top-of-the-line brands to the more affordable family vehicle options. There's something for the die-hard enthusiast as well as the first-time buyer to soak in. And again, that show at the Metro Convention Centre runs through February the 22nd.